Yasin Willis, Syracuse's starting running back over the past couple of weeks to begin the season, is most likely not going to play tomorrow night with an injury, according to head coach Fran Brown. He said that on Syracuse Sports Talk. He did say that he hopes to have Yasin Willis back for the following week when Syracuse takes on Clemson. That's going to be a big one. Hopefully all hands on deck for that one. Either Clemson is going to be 1-2 with their season on the line, or they're going to be 2-1 with new hope, feeling very confident in themselves for the rest of the year. No matter what, Clemson going to be a very tough game. Obviously, if any player is a little bit dinged up, this is kind of the week where you would want to give them a little break. Syracuse football should be able to handle Colgate no problem, even without starting running back Yasin Willis. But with Yasin Willis most likely being out, that opens up the opportunity for plenty of running backs to see the field in this matchup. I imagine that Will Nixon will step in. He's a veteran, and he'll be the primary running back for Syracuse to begin this game. But we've already seen a couple of other running backs get on the field a little bit. Malachi James, Jaden Hart, those are redshirt freshmen for Syracuse football. I imagine that we're going to see a lot of those players, or a lot of carries from those players in this game versus Colgate tomorrow night. Plus, there's also a couple of other true freshmen like Malachi Coleman that could get on the field for Syracuse. If all goes according to plan, I would expect that Syracuse uses at least 3 running backs, possibly 4 or more versus Colgate. That would be ideal. Get everyone on the field you possibly can. This is the perfect opportunity for plenty of young players to get extended playing time, because you never know when you might need them. And you never know what could happen from these games. Speaking of the running back position, remember LaQuint Allen? His first flash was really that 90-yard run he had against Wagner in 2022. We're like, who's this LaQuint Allen guy? He looks pretty promising. Look at that run he just had. Lo and behold, we see him perform in the bowl game later on in the season and then become Syracuse's starting running back over the next couple of years. So you never know. You might as well play some young players in this game versus Colgate, including the running back position with no Yasin Willis. Then there's tight end and linebacker Jamie Tremble. Jamie Tremble, it's really fascinating with him because Syracuse is kind of making him play a different position. It's sort of weird. They're having him play both ways. Let's just put it that way. He's a tight end, but they are making him a linebacker as well. Now, Tremble did see the field versus Tennessee both ways. He was a tight end and a linebacker. The linebacker part was completely unexpected. That was not a storyline heading into the year that they were moving Jamie Tremble's position. That was something that happened behind the scenes, and it was a big surprise for all of us when he was actually on the field on defense for Syracuse versus Tennessee. But then Jamie Tremble did not play versus UConn, and I don't think it was because of any sort of injury that he suffered against Tennessee, although that could potentially be it. You never know what guys are dealing with behind the scenes, the nicks and bruises. Maybe he just wasn't up to being able to play. But that's not really what I read about Jamie Tremble. Now, Fran Brown was asked about Tremble specifically in his weekly press conference, and to summarize it for you, Fran Brown did say that Tremble is going to play tomorrow night versus Colgate, and this is 100% the correct move because as the theme of the show has been, this is a soft landing for everyone. This is your chance to see what you got, throw darts at the dartboard, no pun intended with dart, and see what you got in all your players. So, hey, let's see Jamie Tremble at linebacker. Let's see Jamie Tremble more at tight end. My only question with Jamie Tremble, and Fran Brown sort of answered it, but not really in specifics in his press conference this week, is why did Jamie Tremble play in week 1 versus Tennessee and not week 2 versus UConn? I'm just asking a question, and you can give your thoughts in the comments section below to it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know more about developing football players than Fran Brown, and I am certainly not going to suggest that either. I just find it a little bit curious that he's going to play in week 1 versus Tennessee, which is the tougher opponent, no doubt. But he's not going to play against UConn. He didn't really get into specifics. I just find it interesting. Again, I'm not going to sit here and suggest I know anything more than, I don't know more than Fran Brown. Okay. I just wanted to throw that out there to you. It's a little bit odd with Jamie Tremble. Then you got Kaylib Singleton. Kaylib Singleton is a 2025 4-star or 3-star, I believe, a cornerback or defensive back, depending on the major recruiting service that you decide to use. And he was one of Syracuse's highest rated players in the 2025 recruiting class. Now, unless I am mistaken, I don't believe Kaylib Singleton yet has seen any snaps on defense. And a reminder to you all about true freshmen. True freshmen get to play in 4 games in college football before they have to burn their red shirt. Meaning Kaylib Singleton could play the entire game versus Colgate, and he still keeps another year of eligibility. He could play in 3 more after that if Syracuse decides to use him in that way. And unless Singleton is hurt or the game is tighter than it should be, he should 100% be on the field for Syracuse on defense in this game. Also, for what it's worth, Fran Brown, in the same breath where he said that Yasin Willis was most likely not going to play, Devin Grant, Syracuse's starting safety, is also most likely not going to play for the Orange tomorrow night versus Colgate. Yes, Devin Grant's a safety. Kaylib Singleton's more, I believe, a corner. Regardless, just thought that would be worth mentioning. That's one of Syracuse's starters that's out. Maybe there's some sort of position switch, whatever, something behind the scenes that we don't know about. But they're both defensive backs. Should be worth monitoring that Devin Grant is not most likely not going to play. Maybe that means more snaps for a guy like Kaylib Singleton in this game. And finally, I'm going to bring up a player, but not in the way you might expect. Demetrius Samuel Jr. Hold up, Jackson. Demetrius Samuel Jr. is the number 1 cornerback of Syracuse football right now. We've seen him on the field versus Tennessee. We've seen him on the field plenty versus UConn. Why are you bringing him up? Well, for those that may have forgotten, and it's easy to forget right now, Demetrius Samuel is technically a 2-way player. We just had that whole discussion about Jamie Tremble being now a 2-way player. Demetrius Samuel Jr. was a 2-way player that we actually knew about going into the 2025 season. He can play wide receiver, and he obviously can play corner. Now, so far this year, I've watched every play of Syracuse so far. I don't recall seeing Demetrius Samuel Jr. on the field one time for an offensive snap. I could be wrong. I could have totally missed it. You could sit there in the comments section right now and say, hey, Jackson, I found multiple plays where he was used and you missed it flat out. But I don't believe I have. But again, feel free to fact check me in the comments section below here. Now, to be fair to Fran Brown and Syracuse, they did say that Demetrius Samuel Jr. is a defensive back first for Syracuse football, and that they may not use him on offense as much as we may expect. It's really going to depend on the situation and what the team needs, I believe was the exact verbiage behind all that. Well, this is Colgate. You might one day have to use Demetrius Samuel on offense, or at least you might want to use Demetrius Samuel on offense. Maybe you throw him out there versus Colgate. The theme of the show has been what? This is a soft landing. This is a game where Syracuse should dominate from start to finish. Demetrius Samuel is a 2-way player. Eventually, he's probably going to get snaps on offense, unless you decide not to use him on offense ever. That could be in the cards. But why not? Let's see him on the field on offense for just a little bit. I'm not sitting here saying he's got to play an entire half of offense, but how about for a drive or two? We see Demetrius Samuel, or just a few plays sprinkled in here and there. The only real counter behind that argument that I just made, and I'll acknowledge it right now, is you have to be careful about what you put on tape because other teams are watching. And if they see Demetrius Samuel Jr. being used on offense and they see the type of plays that Syracuse is running, well, if you're the Clemson Tigers and you're Dabo Swinney, you might want to pay attention. Because if they can use him on offense versus Colgate and it goes well, Syracuse might feel compelled to use him in the Clemson game or other games. And the point is, once you start putting tape on, once you start putting film out there, teams are going to be able to pick up on it, and they're going to get a better idea of how to stop a guy like Demetrius Samuel. So I totally acknowledge that argument. I just think that there is a happy medium there where you can get him some on-field offense snaps without having to actually divulge any real secrets that are out there.